Let's go to a hypothetical situation where the bench of judges do find that Oscar Pistorius can now be retried. What will happen?
Well, it's not a question of being retried. It's a question of them finding on the evidence already presented, has the state succeeded in convincing the court to replace culpable homicide conviction with one of murder.
So he won't go through a new trial process?
No, they will come back and say, look, the appeal succeeds and we feel it's murder, dolus eventualis, and then say, well, they'd like to hear evidence with regard to sentence. They could deal with the sentence themselves or send it back to the North Gauteng court. Because, why waste more time? And it's happened in my experience that a high court on appeal could then look at sentence. It's all the evidence has been presented. They might say, well, they want to hear heads of argument. Or they could send it all the way back again. But we kind of don't know. So it's not a retrial. It's if they find him guilty of murder, saying, well, we want to look at increasing the sentence because murder is a more serious crime, as we all know, than culpable homicide. But again, maybe they say, well, the sentence was fair. Even for murder, people have been sentenced to Section 2761I, the sentence that Oscar did receive. So they could replace the conviction and say, well, we feel the sentence is fine. But my feeling is if you do replace the conviction of culpable homicide with one of murder, that in all probability they will look at increasing, or some court will certainly look at increasing the sentence.
But this could all happen in Bloemfontein at the Supreme Court of Appeal.
Technically speaking, it can. There's much has been said, well, it's got to go back to the North Gauteng High Court. I don't believe it has to. They could say, well, let it go back to hear sentence afresh. Or they could say, we've got all the facts we need. We're going to sentence. Any more submissions to be made by either side? And that is something they might actually call on the lawyers for the state and the defense to present argument on as to where the court or which court should deal with the sentencing process. So, we'll have to wait and see whether the conviction is changed and then, exactly what the court is going to do. So it could go back or it could, remain with the Supreme Court of Appeal. If it goes back, you're kind of starting the process again, but that's only with sentence. So it's not a retrial on the actual merits of the case on whether or not he's guilty or, hearing all the evidence all over again on the actual event. That's because there's been discussion of retrial. I mean, again, people talk and they don't quite know exactly what the legal process is. So, that's in a nutshell what could happen in the future. But, we will have to wait and see.